Well, students, I'm excited to work on these today. I think these will be really cool. We're not going to get them all colored. I'm going to have you get started on them. Most of us still need to outline with marker. I had mentioned a couple of things last time about tracing it out carefully and making sure that you include a few thicker or wider lines. So you can see here I added a line next to this. So now that line is wider. This is a thicker or wider line. That one is too. So add a few thick lines to it. We're just gonna pretend that I'm done. I could do that in some more areas to make it stand out. Maybe I'll do one more here at the bottom. So finish tracing it, add a few thick lines. Then we're going to color it. I am expecting that you're gonna be using the color wheel and some color mixing and showing that you understand how colors work to create the intermediate colors, the in-between colors, as well as using some patterning. So these are very abstract, so you can use whatever colors you want. Mostly really bright colors would be the way that I'm gonna go with this. So first thing, I'm gonna start working on the head, and I would like to first start with a little bit of red here, and I'm gonna think about, as I'm working, if I do red, what is red gonna go with? Well, red is next to purple on the color wheel. Red is next to orange on the color wheel. And red is like pink. So those would all work, and what I want you to be putting into your mind is trace with one, fill with another. So here, I've traced that shape with red. If you do want to put a little bit on the inside, you can, but I'm gonna trace with one, and then I'm gonna fill with another. So that's gonna create a little bit of a mix, and you can see that I'm pressing it on hard. That's why my finger's way down low so I don't break the end of it. And now it's created a little bit of an orange red. Now, if this is a new shape, that's gonna be a new color. So I wanna pick something that's different than what I've already used. So I think that I'm gonna go with purple, and I'm tracing with one, and then I'm gonna fill with another. So here I've outlined that. Like I said, if you do wanna put a little bit on the inside, that's fine, but I'm not gonna press it on hard in the middle because I'm gonna fill with another color. So here I'm gonna fill with blue because purple is next to blue. Purple is also next to red, but I wouldn't want to use red because I just used red. So here, picking something different, gonna go right out to the edge of that shape. Now, many times, not all the time, but many times the Inuit have symmetry in their work. So if this side is kind of that blue-purple, this side would match. So both sides are the same here. So I outline with the purple, trace with one, fill with another. Trace with one, fill with another. You can see that this takes time. It's looking really cool, even though I've only done 3 shapes. So it's gonna take us a while to do these. I don't expect you to get them all done today, okay? So here, filling that one in. And then I'm gonna continue down here. Now, this shape I wanted to do with some green because I haven't used green yet. And I'm gonna trace with one, and I'm gonna do that on this side so that it has some symmetry. And then I'm gonna fill with another. Well, green is next to yellow on the color wheel. It's next to blue, but I just used blue. So I'm gonna do this one with a yellow to get a yellow-green. Then I'm gonna move down to my next shape. I'm thinking, well, this beak, I might wanna go with some orange. So let's outline it with orange. And since I've already done orange and red, let's pick something else. Let's do orange and yellow so that it's something different. So those ones are next to each other. I can see that there's some green on the end of this. So instead I'm gonna flip it over, I'm gonna use the other side. So then it doesn't put green in my orange, because green and orange don't work because they're not next to each other on the color wheel. So I think this is starting to look really cool. If you want to use something like white, we have already talked about this, that would probably be the first color that I would use. And I might even give you a white color stick, because I'm noticing that that white is not standing out very well. So that will be something I try to remember to bring for you to use, because you can see that white color stick works much better, but it's also covering up a little bit of my marker line. So be careful if you're using white that it doesn't cover up your marker line. So here, if you use white, that's one of the few colors that I would just use by itself instead of tracing with one and filling with another. If you just want your white to be a bright white, just keep it separate and on its own. Now, I want to have this have a little bit of symmetry. So I'm going to make sure this is filled in. Now, you could do something like trace with white and fill with pink or something like that. White goes with every color, but I want my whites just to really be white and to stand out. Then if you do want to use brown, brown is a good color. I wouldn't forget about brown. Brown could go with light brown. Brown works pretty good with gray. I think that's what I'm gonna do, brown and gray, for these. So then I'm gonna outline with one, and then I'm gonna fill here with my gray. Okay. Now that I have the eyes done, you can see each shape is a new color. I could even go right onto the inside here and use maybe a little bit of blue, and since it's such a tiny shape, I can just add a little bit and then do a tiny little mix in here of two blues, because you can always do like dark blue and light blue, dark green, light green, and so forth. Now I'm gonna work here on this part of the face. I'm not gonna do all of these just because I want you guys to have more work time, but for this I think I'm gonna do some of this light purple, because I haven't used that yet. That's one of the nice things about having a whole 24 box of crayons that I hope most of you have been responsible with to have, because then that gives me so many more color options. So traced with one, then I'm gonna fill with another. I'm just gonna have a little bit of color on the inside of this. And purple is next to pink. So we'll take this and then I'm gonna fill this with pink. And with that color, that's the one that I'm pressing on really hard. The last part I wanna show you is working on the body. Because I do not want anyone to just color over the body all one color. I said, not only are we using the color wheel, but I'm expecting to see some pattern making. So just keep brushing it off to make sure that it doesn't smear. So here, I'm gonna do a pattern, and I'm gonna go with orange, and I'm gonna just outline this pattern. And then I'm going to fill it. I'm gonna just add a little bit, fill it with yellow, because orange is next to yellow. So trace with one, fill with another. Then my next row is gonna be a new color. So here, I think that I'm gonna go with a dark blue. So then I kind of have some contrast here of a brighter color with a lighter color. I think with this one I'm gonna do a dark blue, and fill it with light blue. Then I get back to my pattern. So I've got yellow, orange, dark blue, light blue. This one's gonna be yellow, orange. So always trace around the shape so it doesn't just scribble right over your pattern and that you lose the line. So trace it with one, fill it with the other. Then I've got yellow, orange, dark blue, light blue, yellow, orange, then this one's gonna be dark blue, light blue. And I just keep that pretty simple. If you get this much done, then obviously you just keep going and you figure out what your next part of your body is gonna be or your next pattern. And I'm gonna continue that tracing with one, filling with another until the whole thing is done. So next week we'll keep working on these. I'll do a few more color options, but if you choose to use black, just make sure black is the last color you use because it really will smear in and make things look a little bit dirty. So you can see I haven't used any black yet, but if you choose to, that's fine. Just make it one of the last colors that you use and you're careful with it, that it doesn't smear into other things, especially white. That's why white's the first thing you use. So that pattern would continue all the way to the bottom. Okay, let's have fun working on these.